I grew up in Cuba, and we were very poor. And when I was around 5 or 6 years old, my grandfather was a taxi driver. And I remember him sitting me on his lap and driving the car. He had an old Chrysler, and it was in the 40s. I think it was like 42, 41, 42. And made me feel like I was driving the car. And I fell in love with cars, and I fell in love with the way they looked, and I fell in love with how it felt to drive, even though I wasn't driving. And I fell in love with the way the engine sounded, and I fell in love with everything about cars. And by the age of 6 or 7, I knew every car there was. I knew all the engines. I knew everything about them because I wanted to know. But, we were very poor, so I never aspired to be a car collector. Car collector, that wasn't even in my dreams. And one day, many years after that, I got lucky, I suppose, and I did very well for myself. And I started buying cars, and one more beautiful than the next. And then I thought, well, why don't I design them? Why don't I create colors that don't exist, looks that don't exist? And I started doing that. In October, I was in Florida. They were honoring me for something, and a friend of mine introduced me to Oriole and Sergio. And they started telling me about their car, and they showed me a picture of the car. And I thought it was very interesting. It was very elegant, futuristic in a way, and I was intrigued by it. And I told them in February I would come to the factory. I loved what I saw because it had a feel of old beauty with a very modern version of a car. And I knew the brand because, anybody my age that loves cars would know the Hispano Suiza brand. I was in love with two cars. I was in love with the Lincoln 1941 Continental. I own three of them now because I love the car. And I was in love with a Packard because my grandfather had a Packard. And it was like a 1936, 37 Packard. And I love the lines of those cars because they were beautiful. So I bought myself a couple of Packards and, some Lincolns. In fact, I own a Lincoln 41 convertible that used to belong to Rita Hayworth, the actress. And they're gorgeous. I still, today, I look at them and I say, wow, because the lines are so beautiful. This car, the Hispano Suiza, the Carmen, reminds me of an old car, reminds me of a classy car from the 30s and the 40s, but more modern. Well, these guys are pioneers. I mean, the car, it's an old brand, but the car is a new version of an old brand. So they're pioneers, and I love pioneers. I'm a pioneer. In my business, I like create things that people don't know they need. That's not in the market. It's something brand new. And I respect that. I like that. And I like being part of something that did not exist and is coming up now. And I enjoy that very much. I enjoy being the guy that makes that happen. Yes, 100% electric, yes. The technology in batteries is getting better and better and better. And I think there's going to come a point where you're going to be able to get 500 or 600 miles out of these batteries in one charge. And there's going to be a big revolution in electric. I stayed away from electric for a long time on purpose because I like the engine. I like to know that I step on that gas and I'm going to go on. So long as that needle doesn't hit empty, I can put fuel in it and keep going. But you know what? The way they're making electrics now, and as the batteries improve, it's going to get better and better. It's going to be more important. I'm a very detail-oriented guy, number one. And number two, I love colors. And I have been in businesses where colors were very important. So when I create something, I try to put color into it because I feel that other people feel the same about color. Color has a tendency to lift people up. Dull colors, you don't have the same feeling as when you have a bright, beautiful color, a neon color or something like that, because you look at it and it sort of lifts you up. It gives you a feeling of elation. And I love them. So I do it. And I dare crazy stuff because I don't think it's so crazy. In my opinion, I think it's beautiful. I thought, if I'm going to launch a car, I want that car to be a wow car. I want everybody that sees it to say, oh my God, I want one like that. Totally wild about it. That's the reason I picked the color I picked. It wasn't so far-fetched. I had made another car. I made a Rolls Royce in that color. And the Rolls Royce is outstanding. I mean, people went crazy when they saw it. So I thought, if I do it with the Hispano Suiza, except I make a different change on it. I put copper in it instead of chrome. And the copper came out fantastic. And when you see it, I mean, that's a wild car. Anybody that sees that car in the green in Amelia Island is going to be blown out of their minds. It's just going to be wow. They're willing to do anything the customer wants. They're willing to go way out of the way and create a car together with the customer, which I think is a very good idea. Because when somebody's going to buy a car like that and spend that kind of money, they want to be part of the building. They want to be part of the customization. Well, I was taken to where it all happened. I went to the castle. I went to the factory. I went to all the places, and I was very impressed with the family union, the family tide, how close the family was and is, and the beautiful things they did, and that's wonderful, and I enjoyed that. Luxury. After seeing what I saw, it's a family company. It's family oriented. It's Spanish. It's a lot of different things that to me are important. It's a very retro, romantic looking car. The colors are wild, and colors that you can't avoid looking at. So when you see a car that looks retro, but it's standing still and it looks fast, people pay attention. I think they should have a great degree of success. The cars run well, having a good group of dealers that are handling any issues that come along, as well as selling the cars. I think they should do very well. And I'll do whatever I can to help them get there.